Superstorm Sandy made landfall early this morning along the coast of southern New Jersey. 14 people have been killed so far. Now, in the latest, U.S. oldest nuclear power plant, Oyster Creek in New Jersey, has been put on high alert after waters rose to 6 feet above sea level. More than 1 million people are already without power and millions more could lose electricity. Reports suggest over 50 million people have been affected by Sandy so far. All airports across the East Coast have been shut down. New York and other cities closed their transit systems, schools ordering mass evacuation from low-lying areas right ahead of a storm surge which is expected to be as high as 11 feet. Now, President Obama declared emergency, authorizing federal relief work to begin well ahead of time. He promised the government would respond big and respond fast after the storm.
I'm standing here in Washington, D.C., about a stone's throw away from the White House, which is right behind me, the seat of the American president. A short while back, Barack Obama made a statement to the press. He's back from Florida, having cut short his visit at the start of the campaign. Pakistan first flight is being launched in Washington, D.C., and several circles in the political circles that this particular hurricane, Sandy, is going to affect the fortunes of President Barack Obama. Taking no chances, he's saying this is a big and serious matter and is going to look at all the evacuations from right here in Washington, D.C. On the Republican side, both Mitt Romney, the president nominee, Paul Ryan, have cut short as far as the political campaigns are concerned, at least for the next 2 days. Clearly, this is a storm that has come ahead of the presidential elections next week and is proving to be a political storm of sorts for both the candidates. In Washington, the
It was tough, because she's a little bit old, and she didn't want to leave. Old people don't want to leave their home. I'll stay here, no matter what. I'll stay. I said, Mom, I'm carrying you out of here if I have to. And then she came to her senses, and then she went to my house.
During the storm, they got to pick you up. You can't stay outside. If you stay outside, they're going to arrest you.
You might not have the eye of a hurricane anymore, but Storm Sandy continues her devastating journey after she made landfall in South New Jersey just after 8 o'clock Monday night. 50 million people were impacted by the superstorm, convergence of 3 weather systems as it slammed the most populated part of America. Driving rains and winds topping 135 kilometers an hour have caused flooding along the shores. This was the major concern here for Lower Manhattan. The Hudson River's banks have swollen. You can see this water streaming across. This is called the West Side Highway. Look at this, how quickly it's coming across. We've only been here a couple of minutes, and it's raised about 5 to 6 centimeters. It's pooling down in Lower Manhattan.
Get out of the road, get out of the road. Go inside, go inside.
Tens of thousands in the city are without power. For the first time since the 1880s, the New York Stock Exchange will remain closed for 2 consecutive days because of weather. Subway and train tunnels have been flooded with seawater. Millions use public transportation in the New York area to commute daily. The subway is not expected to reopen for a week.
We knew that this was going to be a very dangerous storm, and the storm has met our expectations. The worst of the weather has come, and the city certainly is feeling the impacts.
And across in neighboring New Jersey, many people who refuse to leave their low-lying homes are now trapped.
We're at the moment now where evacuation is no longer possible, and we're no longer able to come and rescue people. This has become particularly problematic in Atlantic City.
Thousands of flights have been canceled. The storm is also bringing a wintry mix of snow and sleet inland. Millions still have hours to ride the storm out before the massive cleanup operation can begin. Scott Heidler, Al Jazeera, New York.
While we continue to track Storm Sandy and the devastation it leaves in its wake, continuous coverage coming in from Ground Zero, United States of America, East Coast. My colleague Maruk Inayat getting us the very latest from there. Meanwhile, President Obama declared emergency, authorizing federal relief work to begin well ahead of time. He promised the government would respond big and respond fast.
We are certain that this is going to be a slow-moving process through a wide swath of the country, and millions of people are going to be affected. So the most important message that I have for the public right now is please listen to what your state and local officials are saying. When they tell you to evacuate, you need to evacuate.
President Barack Obama thought he would have time for one campaign event flying to Florida Sunday night, but as the storm sped up, the president sped back to Washington Monday morning. He spent days sending out the message he's in charge of the disaster response. Learning a lesson from George Bush, Americans won't forgive a president who appears to not care in an emergency. Now, Obama is in a tight race, and canceling at least 2 days of campaigning could have an impact, but it does give him a chance to appear presidential.
I am not worried at this point about the impact on the election. I'm worried about the impact on families, and I'm worried about the impact on our first responders. I'm worried about the impact on our economy and on transportation. The election will take care of itself next week.
Governor Mitt Romney's campaign stayed on track for most of the day Monday, adding a plea at the end of his stump speech for charitable donations, but quickly pivoting back to the campaign.
The Atlantic coast are counting on Ohio and the rest of our states, but I also think the people of the entire nation are counting on Ohio. Because my guess is that if Ohio votes me in as president, I'll be the next president of the United States. Thank you so very much.
After 2 rallies, the Romney campaign did call off the rest of his events until at least Wednesday. The storm could impact the election in one definite way. It highlights the very different roles these 2 men believe the government should play. Romney has talked about states being in charge of disaster response. His running mate, Paul Ryan, proposed eliminating disaster relief in his budget. The president thinks helping Americans recover is exactly what the federal government should be doing, a point he'll likely make when the storm passes. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.